Welcome to this week's edition of the Pilot Report. I'm Catherine Kelly. There was a lot of excitement on the Bluff last week, with hard-fought matches and teams starting up their seasons. Thursday night, the women's soccer team hosted USD in their conference opener. The Pilots dominated in possessions with 19 shots, but still the Toreros were able to escape with a 1-0 win, taking only one shot on goal. On Saturday evening, number 6 BYU made their way to the Bluff. The second half was full of close calls as the Pilots tried to close the 2-1 deficit, but BYU goalkeeper Rachel Boaz kept the team alive with a beautiful save in the 63rd minute. The team heads to Northern California this weekend, where they are set to face St. Mary's on Friday at 2, followed by a 1 o'clock match on Sunday against the Tigers.
Getting out on the road this week, I think, is important to get the win in both games, but I think what our team needs to focus on is being able to take one game at a time and put this weekend behind us. Definitely don't want to look over St. Mary's and Pacific. Going to St. Mary's first, you don't want to look over that team in general because they just came off a big win against Pepperdine. I think what we learned from our conference right now is that anybody can beat anybody. Games on the road are definitely changing. We just need to do what's right for us and try to get the win.
In their first conference game of the season, volleyball headed to Santa Clara, California to take on the Broncos. The match was 2-1 Broncos heading into the fourth set. Santa Clara got an early lead, but the women were able to make an incredible comeback, going on a 5-point run and taking the game into a final set. The heartbreaker ended in the fifth set with Santa Clara barely escaping with the win. The team next headed to San Francisco. The Dons took an early lead and were able to hold that momentum, beating the Pilots in 3 sets. The women returned to the Child Center this Thursday to face Pepperdine at 7 p.m. Men's soccer traveled to Virginia this past week to play Longwood and reigning champions Virginia. The team first played Longwood. The Lancers were able to get an early lead, scoring twice in the first half. The Pilots got several great looks on goal, but were unable to capitalize, ending the game in a 2-0 loss. The team next headed to play 11th ranked Virginia on Monday. After an early lead by Virginia, the Pilots were able to make a comeback, scoring 2 goals and tying it up in the second half. Virginia was able to respond in the final minute of play, ending the game 3-2. The men begin WCC play this weekend, hosting Gonzaga on Sunday afternoon for a 1 o'clock game on Merlot.
It was always going to be tough having to travel for a week-long trip during what we call midterm weeks. And our results coming home weren't too great. We lost to UVA 2-3 in the last 40 seconds. Longwood University is a team that we should have beat. Ended up losing 2-0. It is nice to have that repertoire of teams that we played. We played 6 top 25 teams this preseason, and we've garnered a decent result against all of them. And moving forward, our team needs to go ahead and reflect on those results rather than the ones where we've had what we'd consider poor losses, and go ahead and think about results like Oregon State, UW, Seattle U, bringing that into our conference because we have the ability to win WCC.
Cross country had a busy weekend, starting in Seattle at the Washington Invitational. The teams displayed impressive performances, with the men coming in 7th place while the women took 8th. The following day, both teams headed to Salem. The women's team finished 2nd overall in the Willamette Invitational. This week's Pilot Report Play of the Week goes to Hugo Rhodes. Rhodes tied up the game 2-2 in the second half with this great goal while in Virginia.
Rhodes to Coffey, connecting with Zambrano. Door closes shut. Coffey, a flick on to Rhodes. A touch. Oh, what a goal this is. That is an incredible goal. Rhodes with the finish. A deserved second goal. You will not see many better equalizers than that at Klotner Stadium.
This week's featured photo is the women's soccer team showing their support for their fellow Pilots. The team went out Thursday night to cheer on the volleyball team in their first conference game of the season. Be sure to check out an all-new episode of Portside with the Pilots, Tuesday, October 13th on Comcast Sportsnet. On this month's show, New York Red Bulls goalkeeper Louise Robles returns to University of Portland to visit with the men's and women's soccer teams. Robles was a 4-year starter at UP from 2002 to 2006 and was a 3-time first-team All-WCC selection. Also, Portland remembers Reed de Lovenfels with the dedication of Reed's Court. All this and more on the new episode of Portside, Tuesday at 9 p.m. on Comcast. Thanks for watching this week. For the Pilot Report, I'm Catherine Kelly.